welcome back to the channel. So my name's Jodie. I tend to talk about personal finance here on this channel, and I'm super new, so if you're into learning about personal finance, stick with me here. Right, so today I want to talk about unconscious spending. And what do I mean by that? So what I mean by that is we all go through our lives now where we mainly pay on our credit cards, on our debit cards, through the internet. We very rarely transact through actual physical cash anymore. So people aren't seeing, cash come from my hand to your hand. And in that sense, because we're just tapping, a little plastic card, it doesn't really sink in as to like you're losing money every time you do that. So the first thing I want to talk about is when we tend to buy an item at a time. So let's say, for example, you're out with friends and you buy a £30 t-shirt. In your mind, you're like, oh, it's £30. That's totally fine. Let me tap this. Maybe the next day you're out with family and you see a nice dress in the window and it's £60. And you're like, oh, £60, I can afford that. That's fine. Tap £60. And let's say this happens throughout the month. In your mind, you're not thinking about the total that you've spent. You're only thinking about those one items that you've spent. So you're like, oh, I've only spent £30 on a t-shirt. I only spent £60 on a dress. But in reality, you might have spent £400 at the end of that month just on frivolous clothes items, for example. So the point here is when you buy an item at a time, you tend to just think about that item's cost of, oh, it's just £20. I can afford £20. And this is where people fall down. And they almost have an unconscious spending because they're literally just tapping and not thinking. The second thing I want to talk about is people tend to justify based on their salary. They tend to say things like, oh, I'm on a really good wage. I'm a senior manager. I've got enough money. It's grand. That seems to be their logic, even though in reality, they may not have a budget at all. They may not be aware of how much they're spending on nights out or drinks out. They're just justifying, oh, I'm in a good job, I should be fine. But I assure you, people in good jobs still go broke. You hear a lot where NFL players come into millions and millions of pounds in their contracts, and still some of them will go bankrupt, or, they might be in a place where they've lost a lot of money multiple times in their life because they're not financially savvy. So it doesn't matter if you're getting paid £2,000 a month or 2 million a month. If you don't have the right mindset and you try and justify your spending because you're like, oh, I'm on a good salary, you're not even, drilling down into what you're spending, and that can be really detrimental, to be honest. So what I say about this, if you fall into this category, is just try and have a basic budget in mind. If you get paid £5,000 a month, let's say, that would be nice, right? If you get paid £5,000 a month, what percentage is going towards your living, like your rent, your food, your car? What percentage is going towards your nights out, your fun, your clothes? Have a bit of an idea before you start to spend it. Look at previous transactions in the month and really try and understand, oh, feck, am I spending a load on drinks out? Am I spending a load on clothes? If you're trying to justify everything with, oh, I've got a good salary, I should be able to afford it, but you're not actually really digging into the numbers, you're really going to fall short if you're not careful. And next thing I want to talk about is blame culture with unconscious spending. Things like, oh, London is so expensive, or Manchester's gone really expensive, that kind of blame culture. Yes, that is true in some circumstances, and yes, inflation has been pretty bad in the UK over the last few months, but in reality, inflation has gone down. It's about 2% in the UK at the minute. And yes, London is expensive. I spent £4.20 on a herbal tea the other day, which is absolutely bonkers. It's just a bit of water and some flavorings, really. So yes, London can be expensive. But if you're frivolously spending in every realm of your life, of course you're going to lose out on money. That's just no brainer, So of course you can blame London or blame the city you're in for being expensive or anything like that. But in reality, you're in control of what you're spending. You're that person putting down that card. You're that person signing up to the membership. You're that person paying for your gym, membership, but maybe not going, okay? So at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's not the people around you. It's not the place you live. You can always live in a smaller space. You can always get a lodger. You can always buy a cheaper car. At the end of the day, it's really up to you. So the last one I want to say is people who have this mentality of, oh, I'm young, or I just want to have fun, or I deserve it sort of mentality. And this, again, is very toxic kind of behavior, because if you're always saying, oh, I just want to have fun, and maybe you're burying your head in the sand and never looking at your bank account, never looking at your credit card statements, just racking up debt left, right, and center, that of course is very detrimental. And unconscious spending that can be around this can be when you're on nights out and you're buying cocktails. Like, a cocktail is about £12 these days in a big city. You know, you might be buying 3 of those. You might be going out to dinner, that could be £40. You might be going to go dancing. You might have to pay to get into a club, that's £30 or whatever it would be, depending on where you are, you know, in what part of London or the city. So it can all rack up. But if your mindset is just like, oh, I deserve this, I deserve to have fun. Of course you deserve to have fun. Of course you deserve to relax at the weekend after working hard. But there should still be some sort of budgeting in place for that fun. Yes, that sounds lame, but you can still have beautiful, lovely, gorgeous fun. You can still go on holidays, you know. But if you're not aware of how much of your monthly income is going to fun, you will soon eat into credit cards. You will soon have that debt grow and not be able to pay it back because you're not being responsible, let's be honest. Okay, we've all made those financial mistakes when we were a teenager, but when you're coming into your 20s, especially your 30s, you need to get your head screwed on. You know, I've been very lucky. I'm not trying to brag here at all, but I've been very lucky with holidays. You know, I've been to Bali, I've been to America, I've been to Egypt, I've been to really cool places, and I've never had it stay on my credit card for more than like maybe a week after I come back, you know. I always make sure the things that I put on my credit card, I'm able to pay straight away in the short term, and then it's not sitting there. Yes, I've had amazing fun, but I'm also able to afford it because I've planned in advance. Let's say I want to go to Mexico next year, let's say, right? In 12 months time, if I know I want to go, maybe I'll save £100 every month for 12 months, okay? And then I'll have £1,200, and then that would be the flights and maybe some accommodation to pay for my Mexico hotel. So £100 to save every month for me is very easy. It might be the same for you too in that example. And then, you know, it's something to look forward to. It's something that you can fully pay off when it's all done and dusted. And you can actually enjoy your trip more because you're not worrying about, oh God, how am I going to pay for this, you know, acai bowl in Mexico because I still have all this money on my credit card to pay. You know, if you set yourself up to have the fun, okay, make sure there's enough money to have the fun, then of course you can go and do it. But if all of your mentality is based on, oh, I deserve this, I just want to have fun, I just want to, you know, spend, but not actually think about the consequences, then that is truly dire for your bank account. Okay, thanks guys. Hopefully that was useful. As I said, I'm a very new channel, so please subscribe if you want to learn about personal finance bits and bobs. I've worked in finance for the last 10 years, so hopefully some of these tips are helpful. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you soon, guys. Bye.